key provided by Dev. Thank you.
No, you don't! That trampoline is mine!
XF Extreme Formula is the futuristic, high-speed racer developed by Feperd Games, who you might recognize from the Spark the Electric Jester series. Those games had an incredible sense of speed, and XF's early access release follows suit. It immediately draws comparison to that one Nintendo racing game. But before playing this, I had very little experience in the genre. I've tried some of the original F-Zero and loved 99, but never played something like GX or any other spiritual successor. With this limited experience in mind, what immediately struck me about XF was how accessible it is. That's not to say the game is easy. Even on the lowest difficulty, you'll likely be pretty close with the AI, and are at risk of crashing out if you don't pay attention. But rather, the tutorial and variety of difficulty options just go a long way to help ease new players into the game. The health system is also very forgiving, and it's pretty unlikely you'll lose all your HP. Instead of constantly focusing on your own survival, the game lets you have moments to appreciate the speed and atmosphere. However, despite what the tooltips say, the game doesn't want you to stay on the lowest difficulty. To unlock more characters, you have to beat certain cups on intense difficulty, which you'll want to do considering you only start with one guy. Simultaneously, the first cup doesn't have a character to unlock, giving the player free reign to go through an entire Grand Prix on the easiest difficulty, without missing out on anything. This design ends up creating a very considerate difficulty curve, before egging the player on to push themselves. Also, while we're on the menu, I've gotta point out that these character models are gonna be replaced in the future. Which is probably for the best, but I just hope everyone enjoys Uncle Clark's iconic smile while we have it. Moving on to the actual racing, the controls are very responsive. Whilst the left stick is used for larger movements, the back triggers allow for minor adjustments in drifting. If you've played a high-speed racer, a lot of the mechanics probably sound pretty standard. The main feature that really stands out is overboosting. When you activate your boost, alongside getting a huge burst of speed, you also build up this red meter. This makes your boost even faster, and it'll continue to build on itself. The source of boosting doesn't matter either, so whether you're manually spending oxygen or simply hitting a speed pad, your overboost will remain high. This mechanic further rewards memorizing track layouts, since knowing where all the pads are lets you string out your overboost for longer, without using as much oxygen. Honestly, the concept of, what if boosting made your boost better, is such a simple idea, but one that's incredibly appealing, especially as you watch the visuals of the race melt into a blur. It's not perfect though, and the main problem is with the input itself. You can't simply hold down the boost button, instead you're required to repeatedly tap it. In a game like F-Zero 99, speeding up consumes HP, so spamming it would quickly cause you to die. But in XF, they're two separate stats, and you're obviously encouraged to boost regularly, which can result in some strain over longer sessions. I also feel like there's potentially room to experiment with the UI so that you don't have to glance up to see how much oxygen you have, but that's a minor nitpick. Besides those blemishes, I really like XF's core mechanics, and luckily there's plenty of tracks to use them on. In 7 different cups taking place across the solar system, the game has an incredible amount of environmental variety. A few ideas are repeated more than once, but overall there's a lot of themes that make the Grand Prix a joy to race through. A sunny beach, the clouds of Saturn, and an incredible VR experience are just some of the standouts. What also adds to the appeal of these courses is the world building. The menus provide paragraphs of lore for each planet, alongside country flags. It creates a sci-fi future that's very cool to see, and these finer details continue even down on the street level. So, let's do some XF mild sightseeing and see what we can discover. First things first, we might as well examine the people. Look at those guys. Then we have this straightforward Italy ad. Italy? Man, Italy's really gone places in the future. Very addictive game, by the way. Very good, I do recommend it. Spoilers for the review. What's this ad? That billboard looked like a white sign. Wait, what the hell? Oh, I'm being rewarded so hard right now. Someone's probably already scanned this, but like, this is for me. This is literally for me. This is for the guy who slows down on the track. I'm scanning this right now with my phone. I pulled out my phone. But my UI's in the way. Get out of here. Okay, status report. I've been trying to edit that last billboard for like 30 minutes, but I decided after a lot of work to just go around the track again, and I found it again. It is on a place on the track, and it turns out it's also down there. It looks like I really should have checked first before opening fucking Photoshop for 30 minutes and trying to do it that way. I'm gonna dump the textures. Alright, so after all that, I finally managed to get a clear version of the QR code. What does it link to? Well, it just becomes a line of text that says, "Insert fake sci-fi company here from the year 3000. I'm writing too much lore. Help." This is, like, for augmented reality for people watching on TV. Yes, I spent several hours doing this instead of writing about how good the music in the game is, or figuring out how to incorporate a proper like and subscribe bit. But I at least found the full resolution crowd texture, so I think that's pretty funny. Back to the review. Okay, so I got a little sidetracked there, but the point is, I really like the world building. It's such a vivid future for the solar system, and it's cool to see how the tracks are part of that. Oh yeah, those tracks are also just really damn fun to race on, by the way. Sometimes there are weird sections where you go out of bounds way too late, but the actual twists and turns feel great to drive through. The structure is also pretty varied and includes standard 3-lap courses, long paths to the finish, and a couple giant circles. The only ones I'm not super excited about are the space levels. See, some of the courses take place primarily in space, and include sections where you don't have oxygen, which prevents manual boosting. Here the main strategy is to avoid hitting walls or making unnecessary adjustments, because these tracks have no air resistance. With perfect movement, it would be possible to build up a ton of speed. It's an easy concept to grasp, yet in practice it can be very hard to pull off, and oftentimes the AI will go flying by you, even if you think you've done great. It's also not explained in the mandatory tutorials, which can cause further confusion. That's not to say the idea is entirely bad though. Some stages have a more even split between oxygen and zero-G parts, which lets you further strategize about how to spend your boosts. Overall, I actually really like the concept of taking away oxygen for certain tracks. It really shakes things up, and should let certain cars shine more than others. I just think it needs some tweaking. Honestly, it's mostly the two in the Mercury Cup I don't like. The final issue I have with the racing is that something about the AI can just seem off. Take this race I did on my live stream. Here, I'm playing on Intense, which again, is the difficulty you play on to unlock other racers. It's one above the easiest. To me, that sounds like this game's normal difficulty. Now, if you pay close attention to the footage, you might notice that I'm doing absolutely ass at this race, and have been in dead last for quite some time now. This actually isn't the worst though, since in the prior tracks of the Cup, I managed to place extremely well, but it means I'll probably have to clutch up for the final track if I want to ensure a spot on the podium. This is especially important because I really want to unlock Uncle Clark. Except, wait a minute, not at all, because I just finished in first place. Let's slow down that footage. These guys are just waiting for me. Yeah, this game might have a slight rubber banding issue. After doing some tests to replicate it, the sandbagging doesn't seem as present on the higher difficulties, although I would prefer for it to not exist on Intense. I'm also not entirely convinced the AI stopping right there wasn't some sort of glitch. It's a bit hard to tell if the reverse is true, but rubber banding might also explain how the AI can so easily catch up to you on zero gravity tracks. I think the goal here was to help keep the race engaging while still letting the player have a big chance, but as is, it feels overtuned. If this was the final release, I'd probably be more critical of the rubber banding, but since it's still early access, I hope that will be refined before it's finished. The core mechanics are just that solid, and XF still has so much promise. The main thing missing from early access is the story mode, which is currently in development and looks like it'll be the premier mode. Health and fuel basically don't matter in the Grand Prix, but they'll be a lot more important when you're balancing them across a longer scenario. Feperd Games has also shown off these really cool on-foot sections, which at first you would just assume would be for some walk-around segments, maybe a bit of light platforming, you know, just a way to deliver some of the story beats in a more interesting way. And then you see this! Hand-to-hand combat just seems so extra for a racing game. But considering all the lore and how most of the mechanics seem geared specifically for the story mode, it makes me very excited to see how it all come together in the end. If I had to put a number on it, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, and a big recommendation. I don't know how to end this video. It took me way too long to make. Please like and subscribe.